Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Time for Tea. Today I'm going live with Stephen Kissick. He is a craftsman, a pottery maker that I met in Mashiko. Mashiko is a little village in Touchigi Prefecture, 2 hours from Tokyo, and I've been traveling there with a couple of friends of mine to really make our own mug, our own teacup. We wanted to try exploring what means craftsmanship, and we wanted to try together learn how to make a teacup. And here I invited, let's see if Stephen is here. He will, hello, he will tell us
Hey,
everything about his
ciao.
work. Ciao, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, long time.
Yeah, long
Well,
time no see.
yeah, we met in Mashiko. When was it? October, maybe November?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. We're still kind of cold, right?
Yes. It was a very nice session as I was introducing yourself. I was introducing you and saying that it was the first time for me
Oh,
and also for my friends to try to make our own teacup. Then,
oh,
yes, unfortunately, I don't have it here. I still have to settle in my new house in Milan. And there I met you, and yeah, I was expecting to have a Japanese teacher, but
hmm. You had
you
a
were
Northern Irish
there
one?
all the way from Ireland. So tell me, how come you decide to move to Japan to do that?
I suppose it's kind of a long story, but to make it nice and short, I did a study year abroad in Japan as part of my degree, and at that time I tried pottery for the first time, and I really enjoyed it, and then I came back home, and I started to I was always constantly thinking, oh, I'd really love to do pottery again. I'd really love to do it one more time. But I ended up getting a different job making making guitars. I used to do woodworking, and I did that for 2 or 3 years. But I always knew in my heart that I wanted to do pottery again. So I tried, and I applied for different visas and then got a working holiday visa. Came to Japan in search for a a place to study pottery, and it was actually quite difficult. It took me about a year to find somewhere, but I eventually got somewhere, and I was
What
able
does
to
it
start.
mean studying pottery? Pottery theory, the actual work, the actual pottery making?
Yeah. So the actual pottery making, I've actually never, I've apart from whenever I lived in Japan previously, I did a traditional Japanese crafts class, and there we did lots of different things, like different kinds of woodworking, and then I got to try pottery as well. It was very short, only a couple of classes. So that's the only exposure, the only real like not even training. It was just messing around on the wheel, just having fun, you know. So I never really had any previous experience in arts or ceramics, apart from
Hmm.
studying. I studied music, but apart from that, I never really had any experience in.
You know, it's interesting you say messing around the wheel. So it's this, where actually we tried, there are two ways to correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong. I tried both. On the table, it's pretty easy, right? You create with the hand your clay, but
yeah,
sitting there in front of the wheel, it was the first time for me. And I remember you were explaining, okay, first of all, the posture. And I actually didn't think about it before,
mhm,
going getting there and actually tried. And it was quite difficult for me to really like bend over and
mm.
sustaining my. So what I want to ask is like, how can you actually work on it and relax yourself? Because I thought it was kind of, cool, relaxing practice, but for me it was very hard.
Yeah, I suppose it's like the metaphor of or not the metaphor, but it's like once you learn how to do something, it becomes easier. Like riding a bike at the start, it's really difficult, and oh, I can't get it to be steady and stable. And then eventually you just keep practicing and practicing, and then you get better, and you can go by yourself and study. You don't need the support, you know, you don't need to teach, you don't need someone there to help you. It's very similar. So there's a few steps that you need to overcome, and then you can start to develop your own style and things like that. But yeah, there's really simple things you can do, like, as you say, body language is really important, actually. Especially the way that in Asia, in Japan and Korea, they throw. Normally they use a really large lump of clay, around sometimes 30 kilos, usually a bit less, but you know, maybe 15 kilos normally. They'll use around 15 kilos of clay, and that's, people don't realize, but when this is spinning on a wheel, it's really heavy and hard to push this in and try and keep it centered, to try and keep it stable. So that can be quite tricky. But so your posture and the way you sit is really important. So yeah, yeah, that's interesting. You picked up on that, but that is one of the first things that I tell people whenever I start to teach them.
It was good actually, because we were there prepared to sit down and start, right? But you said, okay, first of all, let me show you how you have to sit. And it was like, wow, I never thought about that. And especially I you know, you saw it, after a while I gave up. I was like having like pain in my back, and this is something, I think it's related to also kind of meditation posture. If we want to make a comparison, some people say, how can you stay still and sit there with, you know, your leg crossed? It's the same. It's, as you said, you practice, and eventually you find that this is the best way, and you actually relax. But how long did it take you to get there, to get to this point of not think about the posture, but just let your creativity going?
It takes time. It does take time, but it's like everything, and it's like everything with every kind of craft. It really takes time, you know. Even like this really simple task of just what's it called? In Japanese, it's called 𝚃𝚒𝚙𝚎, but to wedge the clay, it's just this spiral wedge the clay. Even just that is a really tricky process, and I think lots of different people showed me, maybe like 5 or 6 different people showed me different techniques and different ways to do it. But it must have taken me at least, I would say, to get just good at it, to go okay at it. It took me maybe 5 or 6 months, you know. So these things, they really take a long time. And the way you sit, as you say, you know, your lower back and also your shoulders can get really sore, especially if you have a lot of clay on the wheel and you're constantly centering it or bending over, and you know, trying to like help customers too. You know, your back does get very sore, but you learn. I don't know, your muscles get a bit stronger, I suppose, and you learn certain ways and certain techniques. But it's about using different parts of your body too. Like whenever I told you, you sit down, you kind of put your bum further back in the seat, and use your elbows, put them into your legs. That's really important, because your back muscles are very small, and your leg muscles are huge, so they're much stronger and much better for pushing and centering the clay. But yeah, it's interesting too, the way you say, like for meditation, crossing your legs. Actually, traditionally and still today, like lots of Japanese potters, they don't actually, the way you sat and you put your legs down beside, if this is the wheel, you put your legs down beside it. They sit cross-legged, and they do pottery cross-legged. So yeah. I can't do that. That's hard work. But yeah.
So how do you feel now that you got the expertise? You said you've been working in Mashiko for how long?
So I worked there for about a year.
A year.
Yeah, and I was working in a studio, so we taught toge taiken, or the pottery experience, and so we taught to Japanese customers and also to foreign customers. So yeah, but at that place, I was able to do lots of different things. It was an interesting experience. I was able to use the studio as much as I wanted whenever we were finished work, and I lived there, so there was kilns and there was always things to do. So it was really like a crash course into pottery. And I think if I had gone to a college or a school, I wouldn't have had a similar experience. Or maybe if I wanted to learn as much as I did learn, it would have taken me a lot longer, maybe 2 or 3 years to get as much as experience as I did. Just the real hands-on. And I didn't really know very much, so I had to learn very quickly, because I was also teaching people. So, but I also think that's probably the best way to learn, is to teach other people, you know. So
Exactly, like teaching by doing, or see how people respond. So maybe that, you know, that for you it's clear.
yeah,
Teaching, you know, how to do that. It's like, so many people ask me how you can breathe deeply. It's like, okay, let me explain. But you know, something that is normal for you, but when you explain, you actually find out something about yourself as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then what I wanted to ask you is, like, as I saw you there and you had this kind of teaching part, and you know, it's your job, it's what you were doing for learning and for living, but also you said after I was just creating, and I remember you showed me this room full of your, you know, creation works
yeah,
you wanted to do. Exactly, I can see you there. Works for friends. You were telling me about friends opening a coffee shop and having all your line. But how you combine this? I mean, how much your passion and work cross together and influence each other?
I suppose it depends. It depends on what I'm doing, really. But for different things, I'll do things different ways. But let me think. I suppose.
Difficult question.
Oh, that's good. It's a good question. Yeah, I think like certain costs. Like for example, you said there about the cafe that I made. Like these cups here were for
Show
a
me, show
cafe.
me.
These two cups, like you know me, like
Yeah.
like what would normally be for teacups, but they're for a cafe. They were for a cafe in Tokyo, a larger and a smaller cup. And these are kind of like a wine glass almost. Um, uh,
You know
uh,
me.
like for the Unomi, yeah. So the guy he wanted to let the coffee like breathe. So we wanted to have like a sort of a like a wine glass. Like you would almost let red wine has a bigger glass, you know, to let it breathe.
Hmm.
And he was he really wanted that kind of well, how would you say, that design feature. So I made those specifically for him. But my style is maybe a little bit more let's say untamed. This is very like he wanted this kind of shape, you know, was very particular.
Yes.
But I think I prefer to go, I this is also a quite refined clay, so the clay doesn't have any impurities in it, no stones or sand. And I prefer to use more like for my own work, I prefer to use more wild clay that has maybe,
More rough,
yeah,
which is
yes, rougher.
typical from Mashiko, right? It this
Yeah, yeah.
there is this Mingei movement. You must have studied
Mm,
that. Are you
yeah, yeah,
taking
so yeah.
inspiration for this rough, like
uh,
let's say shibui in Japanese, I think,
so
style?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the Mingge it's all the Mingge is, it's kind of like a folk what's the word, folk crafts, like, so that was a lot to do with Shoji Hamada and
Hamada, yes.
Bernard Leach, you know. So they had a big influence, and Mashiko, and I think they kind of put it on the map. You know, Mashiko has been there for a long time, but Bernard Leach and Shoji Hamada, they kind of changed Mashiko's style. And
Right, in 1920s, let's say, to give a time. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
will
that's it.
share more if people are interested. It's a very interesting movement. I just wanted to know if you took inspiration, or just carry on with your creativity process, because I was interested about that.
I think honestly, for me personally, I was so new into pottery, and also it was kind of at a time. So Corona had just like really hit hard, and so there wasn't actually a lot of people coming to the studio, and it was kind of not so busy. So there was a lot of time for me to really develop and think about my own style, and well, I mean, yeah, I think now I'm more thinking about my style. Then I was trying to learn the fundamentals. Like, so it's like when you meditate, you have to learn how to sit first, you know, and you have to learn how to breathe. You have like the monkey brain, you know.
Right.
You have to learn how to concentrate and focus just on the breath, you know, and that takes a long time. Same with pottery, you have to learn the fundamentals. You got to learn about the different materials, how to work with the different materials, and how those materials work on the wheel. And if you want to hand build, like you were saying, you can do hand building and things like that. You have to understand the material you're working with, you know, and that takes a bit of time to understand more. Um, so yeah, I think throughout the year that I was in Mashiko, near the end, I started to develop my own style, or really copy other people, you know, just to improve my techniques. So I think mainly whenever I was there, that's what I was doing. I was just really trying to just get better and better and better, like constantly making similar shapes, and trying to just perfect things, you know, which is like also like meditation. Whenever you did pottery, I don't know about you, but obviously it's your first time, so it's a bit more, it's a bit different than whenever I'm sitting at the wheel. But maybe you're thinking, oh, my back's a bit sore, oh, this clay, it's wet or it's cold, or oh, this is a bit heavy, you know. But for me, I sit down and I think, oh, okay, so I'm gonna make this shape, and then I start to do it, and I don't really think about anything else. So actually, like, pottery is really nice because I just start to do it, and then I don't really think about anything else, and it's really a form of meditation for me.
Right.
So yeah, it's a really, really amazing, for anyone that's interested or hasn't never done pottery. I would really recommend that they try, even just do some hand building, or
Yeah.
𝚘𝚕𝚜𝚜 in
Yeah.
Japanese. Just get a piece of clay and really make something, and try not to think about it too much. And what's really,
Yes.
it's kind of amazing, you know.
I think that for me, not maybe, well, the first time, but also going back with my mind in that moment, it was
Mm.
more an active meditation, which involved my sense.
Mm.
So now you mentioned the place was cold. Yeah, it was cold. I remember the place was cold in itself,
Yeah,
and there
sure.
was a little fire over there, and it
Mm.
was you get wet, of course. But going back with my mind there, it's maybe also an afterward experience. So
Mm.
and it's the same when people tell me, I can't sit down and meditate. You just try. And then after you can just go back there in time and say, oh my God, I remember that I felt certain thing in my body. And now I still have that feeling of being completely freezing and my mind and my hands full of, wet
Mm.
clay. But now that I think about it, it was just like, it was an experience, and my mind stopped for a moment, because as you said, I couldn't have monkey mind. I couldn't think about, oh, what's going on tonight. No, no, no. I was there, and I was thinking about, get center with the clay, not letting it go, because before making one little cup, I think I broke several. You
Yeah.
were helping us to, just keep still and keep the wheel going in a certain, yes, in a certain way. And it was such an experience. And now that I have my cup in my hand, well,
Mm.
the cup represent all of it. The
Mm.
travel, the experience, the physical pain is all in there.
Mm.
The cold that I felt, and the satisfaction of seeing it done, and also the time, because we've been waiting months before
Oh,
receiving it.
yeah.
You were firing and putting the glaze for us.
Yeah. Mm.
So it was that beyond that cup, there is a lot. And I think that your friend in the coffee shop, it feels the same. So beyond that, me that you made for him,
Mm.
there is a part of you, of your effort. Do you feel the same for your creation, for the one that has your style, for example?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's the thing, and I think once you also do pottery, you kind of appreciate the process more. It's like everything. Once you try it, you really understand, and I mean, maybe you don't understand completely because you just saw a small part of the process, but there's so many things that go in, and so much time, and like so much like for you to get good at something, you have to really like work hard at it, you know. And it's that appreciation. And now whenever I see a cup or a thing or an object, I pick it up and I look at it and think, oh, okay, yeah, this is the good points, this is the bad points. And you also think like, oh, I wonder, you know, like what was this person, what was their inspiration for this, and different things like that. You know, it really broadens your horizons, and makes you think more. I think it's really fascinating. And also, like, just what you said there about uh, like doing pottery, I didn't think about it this way, but it really does make you. It makes you be still in the present, like you're here now. You know, you don't really think about other things. You're present. You know, and
Right.
I think that's a really nice thing, because nowadays, like, we're all so lost in social media and other things, and always trying to like run after something and catch something else, and it's like, no, like, you're here and you have to be present on this thing that you're doing, because
Right.
if you're not, it's just going to go everywhere, you know, it's going to be a mess. So you have to be there and you have to be present, you know. and I think that's really nice.
You got the point that I want to confer, to transmit
Mhm.
to people. Of course, not everybody can be a pottery maker like
Yeah,
you.
of course.
It takes
Yeah,
courage to change your life and go to Japan, go to Mashiko, like little places, and start over. So I was impressed when you told me your story first time. But as you said, do we just hold the cup and
yeah.
show me yours because I saw it's beautiful. Did you make it?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my cups, yeah.
Yeah. So you just hold it and think what's beyond it. And it's
Yeah.
just being present. It doesn't take hours like a pottery class. It takes
Mm.
5 minutes, but those are these 5 minutes that can change your day. And yes, for me, it's like that. So last
I
question last, and then I let you go because it's just like time for tea. It's very like 20 minutes at least. Which tea are you
mm.
drinking or coffee?
I'm drinking tea. Normally I do drink coffee. I'm a bit of a coffee nut, but I'm having some turmeric tea. It has
Ah, turmeric.
star anise and something else in it. Turmeric, star anise, and something else. I can't remember.
Oh,
Orange,
no.
maybe orange. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's
it's
pretty
kind
good.
of a herbal tea, I mean
Mm.
infusion. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I think we're done. I really love this conversation because we
Mm.
really went through all the points interesting. And yeah, I will save it because it's early here in Italy, very
Yeah,
early.
yeah. You're up so early, so keen.
Yes, and I will share more information. And if people have question about, Mashiko,
Mm.
your technique, what
Yeah.
are you doing, we will share
Yeah,
everything. All
100%.
right?
And if anyone's interested, like you can catch me on Instagram, or if you're interested in
Yes.
any of my pieces or anything, yeah, just shoot me a message, and we'll get you sorted
Okay,
out.
sure. Thank you very much,
Well,
Steven.
thank you. It was great seeing you
Bye.
again. It was nice
Bye
having a chat.
bye.
Ciao.
Have a good day.